morning sun on planet Kepler 442b cast long shadows across the rocky wasteland as Dr. Lisa Morgan stepped out of the shuttle. Her boots crunched on the strange purple sand that covered most of the planet's surface. She pulled her scanner from her belt and watched the small screen come to life with readings. "Temperature is good," she said into her radio. "Air is breathable, no dangerous radiation detected." Captain Ron Hayes' voice crackled back through the speaker. "Copy that, Lisa. Remember, this is just a quick survey. We need samples and readings. Then back to the ship in 4 hours." Lisa smiled as she walked toward a cluster of tall, crystal-like formations. This was her favorite part of being a xenobiologist, discovering new worlds and the life forms that might exist on them. She had spent 12 years studying alien life, but each new planet still excited her like the first time. The crystals were beautiful, growing in perfect spirals toward the sky. She took her sample cutter and carefully removed a small piece, placing it in a sealed container. Her scanner beeped as it detected something interesting. "Jake, are you getting this reading?" She called to Security Chief Jake Collins, who was supposed to be watching her back. "What reading?" Jake's voice sounded distant. "I'm about 50 meters behind you, checking out some kind of cave system." Lisa frowned at her scanner. It was showing a large life form about 200 meters to her north. The readings were strange, very large, but the life signs were weak. Whatever it was seemed to be injured or dying. "I'm picking up a big life form," she said. "It might need help." "Negative," Jake replied quickly. "We don't know what's out there. Stick to the mission plan." But Lisa was already walking toward the signal. As a doctor, she couldn't ignore a creature that might be suffering. She had taken an oath to help all living beings, not just humans. The signal led her over a small hill and down into a shallow valley filled with strange, twisted metal structures. They looked like the remains of some kind of battle. Pieces of unknown technology were scattered everywhere, some still smoking from recent damage. Lisa moved carefully through the wreckage, following her scanner's beeping. The life sign was getting stronger, which meant she was getting close. She climbed over a large piece of twisted metal and stopped. There, lying against a boulder, was the most terrifying creature she had ever seen. It was huge, at least 8 feet tall even lying down. Its body was covered in thick, dark plates that looked like natural armor. 4 arms ended in hands with long, razor-sharp claws. Its head was elongated with rows of teeth, visible even with its mouth closed. Strange, tubes and wires seemed to be built into its body, connecting to various organs. It looked like something designed specifically for killing, but it was also clearly dying. Large sections of its armor were burned and cracked. A thick, dark liquid that must be blood was pooling beneath it. One of its 4 arms was bent at an impossible angle. Its breathing was shallow and labored. Lisa's first instinct was to run. Every survival instinct she had was screaming at her to get away from this monster. But her medical training was stronger. This was a living being in pain, and she was a doctor. She activated her radio. "Jake, I found something. I need you here. Now." "On my way," Jake replied. "What is it?" "Just get here fast," Lisa said, pulling out her medical scanner. She approached the creature slowly, ready to run if it showed any sign of aggression. The creature's eyes opened as she got closer. They were large and completely black, like deep pools of water. For a moment, Lisa thought she saw intelligence there, maybe even awareness. Then the eyes closed again. Her medical scanner confirmed what she already knew. The creature was dying from severe plasma burns and internal injuries. Its vital signs were failing rapidly. Without immediate medical attention, it would be dead. Within the hour, Jake arrived just as Lisa was opening her medical kit. When he saw the creature, he immediately drew his weapon. "Get away from that thing," he shouted. "That's a Vorthak warrior." Lisa looked up at him, confused. "A what?" "Vorthak? They're living weapons. Genetically engineered killing machines. They destroyed 3 human colonies last year." Jake kept his weapon pointed at the creature. "They don't show mercy to anyone. They kill everything in their path." Lisa looked back at the dying alien. "But it's hurt. It needs help. It needs to die," Jake said firmly. "Lisa, You don't understand. These things are monsters. They were created to kill. It's all they know how to do. The creature's breathing became even more labored. Lisa could see its life signs dropping on her scanner. In a few minutes, it would be too late to save it, even if she tried. I'm a doctor, Lisa said quietly. I took an oath to help all living beings. Not this one, Jake replied. Captain Hayes needs to know about this. We're leaving now. But Lisa was already working. She couldn't watch any living thing die in pain, even if it was supposedly a monster. She injected the creature with a powerful painkiller and began working on its worst wounds. Jake grabbed her arm. Lisa, stop, you don't know what you're doing. I'm saving a life, she said, pulling her arm free. That's what I do. 20 minutes later, Captain Hayes arrived with 2 more security officers. He took one look at the scene and shook his head. Lisa, what have you done? He asked. I'm trying to stabilize it for transport, Lisa replied, not looking up from her work. It's got severe plasma burns and internal bleeding, but I think I can save it. Save it? Captain Hayes stared at her. Lisa, that's a Vorthak. They're the most dangerous creatures in known space. Right now it's a patient, Lisa said firmly, and I'm not going to let it die. The debate continued for another hour. Jake and the captain argued that bringing a Vorthak onto their ship was suicide. Lisa argued that letting it die was murder. Finally, Captain Hayes made a decision. If you can guarantee it won't be a threat to my crew, we'll take it to the medical bay, he said. But the moment it shows any sign of aggression, I'm spacing it. Lisa nodded, though she wasn't sure how she could guarantee anything about a creature she had never seen before. All she knew was that she couldn't let it die. Getting the creature onto the shuttle was difficult. It was incredibly heavy, and even unconscious. Its claws and teeth made everyone nervous, but finally they managed to secure it in the cargo hold and make the trip back to their ship, the Titan's Edge. In the ship's medical bay, Lisa worked for 6 hours straight. She had to invent new procedures on the spot, combining human medical knowledge with what little she knew about alien biology. Slowly, the creature's vital signs began to improve. You know, Jake said, watching her work. Even if you save it, it's probably going to try to kill us all when it wakes up. Lisa looked at the creature's peaceful face. Maybe, she said. But maybe not. We won't know until we try. As she worked through the night, Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that she was doing something important. Something that might change everything. She just didn't know how right she was. 3 days passed before the creature showed signs of waking up. Lisa had barely left the medical bay during that time, checking its vital signs every few hours and adjusting the treatment as needed. She had set up a small cot in the corner so she could sleep nearby and respond quickly if anything changed. Jake visited her several times, always with his weapon ready, always asking the same question. Any sign of it waking up? Each time, Lisa would shake her head and continue her work. But on the morning of the 4th day, something changed. The creature's brain activity increased significantly on her monitors. Its breathing became deeper and more regular. Lisa knew it would wake up soon. She called Captain Hayes to the medical bay. It's going to wake up within the next few hours, she told him. I think we should be prepared. The captain looked at the huge alien lying on the reinforced medical table. Even unconscious, it looked deadly. Are the restraints secure? Lisa nodded. They had used the strongest materials on the ship to create bonds that would hold the creature's forearms and legs. But she wondered if even that would be enough if it really wanted to break free. 2 hours later, the creature's eyes opened. Lisa was alone in the medical bay when it happened. She had been checking her equipment when she felt like someone was watching her. She turned around and found herself staring into those deep black eyes. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Lisa felt her heart beating fast, but she forced herself to stay calm. The creature studied her face with what seemed like curiosity, rather than anger. Hello? Lisa said softly. My name is Lisa. I'm the one who helped you. The creature tried to sit up but found itself held down by the restraints. Its eyes moved to examine the bonds holding its arms, then back to Lisa. She could see intelligence there. Definitely. This was not just an animal. It was thinking, planning. Suddenly, the creature began to struggle against the restraints. The metal table groaned under the pressure as muscles that could tear through steel strained against the bonds. Lisa stepped back, her hand moving toward the alarm button. But then something strange happened. The creature stopped struggling and looked at Lisa again. It tilted its head slightly as if trying to understand something. The expression on its alien face changed from anger to confusion. Lisa pressed the alarm button anyway. Within seconds, Jake and 2 other security officers rushed into the medical bay with their weapons drawn. "Stand back, Lisa," Jake shouted, pointing his weapon at the creature. The creature's head turned toward Jake, and Lisa saw its expression change again. This time she recognized it clearly. It was the look of a predator sizing up prey. The creature's lips pulled back, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "Wait," Lisa said, moving between Jake and the creature. "It hasn't done anything aggressive yet." "Are you crazy?" Jake replied. "Look at it, it's deciding which one of us to kill first." Lisa looked back at the creature. Jake was right about the predatory look, but when the creature's eyes met hers again, that expression faded. The confusion returned, stronger than before. "I don't think it wants to hurt me," Lisa said carefully. "It's a Vorthak," Jake snapped. "Wanting to hurt things is all they do." But as they watched, the creature did something none of them expected. It spoke. The voice was deep and rough, speaking in a language none of them recognized. But there was something in the tone that didn't sound threatening. It sounded almost like a question. Lisa stepped closer, ignoring Jake's protests. "I'm sorry, I don't understand your language," she said to the creature. The creature studied her for another moment, then switched to perfect, though strangely accented English. "You fixed me." The simple statement sent a shock through everyone in the room. Jake's weapon wavered slightly in his hands. "Yes," Lisa replied. "You were hurt. I'm a doctor. I help people who are hurt." The creature's dark eyes narrowed. "I am not people. I am Vorthak. I am Unit 7. I am weapon."
"You're a living being," Lisa said firmly, "and you were dying. I couldn't let that happen." Unit 7 stared at her for a long time. Finally, he spoke again. "Why?" The question seemed to genuinely puzzle him. Lisa realized that the concept of
helping someone without expecting something in return might be completely foreign to his experience. "Because it was the right thing to do," she answered. "Right thing?" Unit 7 repeated the words as if they were in a language he barely understood. "What is right thing?" Before Lisa could answer, Captain Hayes' voice came through the ship's communication system. "All hands to stations. We're receiving a distress signal." Jake kept his weapon trained on Unit 7 while Captain Hayes entered the medical bay. "The R." Captain looked at the awake alien and shook his head. "Problems?" he asked. "No problems yet," Jake replied. "But it's definitely awake and talking." Captain Hayes approached the medical table carefully. "Can you understand me?" he asked Unit 7. "Yes," the creature replied. "You are leader of this vessel." "That's right. And you're our prisoner." Unit 7 tested his restraints again, but gently this time. "Yes, I am captured." "The distress signal is from Proxima Station," Captain Hayes told Lisa and Jake. "Human colony, about 2 days away. They're under attack." Lisa felt her stomach drop. "Under attack by what?" Captain Hayes looked at Unit 7, then back at Lisa. "Vorthak forces, a full assault fleet." The change in Unit 7 was immediate and dramatic. His entire body went rigid, and his breathing became faster. The monitors showing his vital signs began beeping rapidly. "My pack," he said, his voice different now, harder. "My brothers come." "Your brothers?" Lisa asked. "Other Vorthak, other weapons like me. They hunt, they kill, they complete mission." Jake stepped closer, his weapon ready. "What mission?" Unit 7 looked at him with those black eyes. "Kill all humans in this sector. Take their resources. Move. To next sector." The medical bay went silent except for the beeping of monitors. Finally, Captain Hayes spoke. How many ships in this assault fleet? 12 primary vessels. Many smaller craft. 200 warrior units. Unit 7 paused, then added, enough to destroy your colony easily. Lisa felt sick. Thousands of people lived at Proxima Station. Families, children, elderly people who couldn't defend themselves. We have to help them, she said. With what? Jake replied. We're a research ship. We've got basic defensive weapons and a crew of 30. Against a Vorthak assault fleet, we wouldn't last 5 minutes. Unit 7 had been listening to their conversation with growing confusion. Finally, he spoke again. You will try to save them, the humans at this colony. If we can, Captain Hayes replied. Why? Unit 7 asked the same question he had asked Lisa earlier. They are not your pack, not your family. Why risk death for strangers? Lisa looked at the alien warrior, trying to think of how to explain something that seemed so basic to her, but was clearly incomprehensible to him. Because they're people, she said. Human beings like us. We don't let people die if we can help them. Even if helping them means you might die? Yes. Unit 7 stared at her for a long time. Something was happening behind those black eyes, some kind of internal struggle. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter. This is why you fixed me. Not for reward, not for information, because I was person who needed help. Yes, Lisa said simply. Unit 7 closed his eyes and was quiet for several minutes. When he opened them again, he looked directly at Lisa. I do not understand this, he said. But I want to understand. That was when the ship's alarms began to sound, and Captain Hayes received word that they were detecting the first Vorthak scout ships approaching Proxima Station. The Titan's Edge reached Proxima Station 18 hours later. What they found made everyone on the bridge fall silent. The space station that had once housed 20,000 humans was now a broken shell floating in space. Huge sections had been torn away by plasma weapons. Emergency lights flickered in the darkness where life support systems struggled to keep working. My God, Captain Hayes whispered, staring at the main screen. Lisa stood beside him, her hands pressed against her mouth. She had visited Proxima Station 2 years ago. It had been beautiful then, with gardens and schools and thousands of families living peaceful lives. Are there any survivors? She asked. The communications officer, a young woman named Carol Webb, worked frantically at her console. I'm picking up weak signals from the lower levels. It looks like some people made it to the emergency shelters. How many? Captain Hayes asked. Maybe 3,000. But the Vorthak are still hunting them. I can see warrior units moving through. The station on the security cameras that are still working. In the medical bay, Unit 7 had been listening to the ship's communications. The restraint still held him to the table, but Lisa could see the tension in his body as he heard the reports. Your brothers are still there, she said to him. Yes. They hunt the remaining humans. Standard procedure after main assault. Unit 7's voice was flat. Matter of fact. They will find everyone eventually. Underground shelters cannot hide humans forever. Lisa felt anger rise in her chest. 3,000 innocent people are going to die, and you talk about it like it's nothing? Unit 7 looked at her with confusion. It is nothing, it is what we do. What we were made to do. But it's wrong, Lisa said, her voice getting louder. Those are families down there. Children who haven't hurt anyone. Wrong? Unit 7 repeated the word like it tasted strange. There is no wrong. Only mission. Only orders. Lisa stared at him, trying to understand how any thinking being could be so cold about the death of thousands. Then she remembered that Unit 7 wasn't really thinking for himself. He had been programmed, created to be a weapon without conscience, on air. The bridge Captain Hayes was making difficult decisions. The Titan's Edge had basic weapons, but nothing that could fight a dozen Vorthak warriors in direct combat. However, they might be able to rescue some of the survivors if they were very careful and very lucky. We'll take the ship in close to the station, he told his crew. Landing Bay 7 looks like it's still intact. We can dock there and get to the shelter levels through the maintenance tunnels. Jake shook his head. Captain, this is suicide. The moment we dock, every Vorthak on that station will know we're there. Then we better work fast, Captain Hayes replied. Carol, how long would it take to evacuate 3,000 people? Carol ran the numbers quickly. With our shuttle and the station's emergency pods, maybe 6 hours if everything goes perfectly. We don't have 6 hours, Jake said. Those Vorthak will be on us in minutes. Lisa had been thinking while she listened to the bridge communications. An idea was forming in her mind, dangerous and probably impossible, but maybe their only chance. She went back to the medical bay where Unit 7 waited. I need to ask you something, she said to him. Unit 7 looked at her with those dark eyes. Ask. The other Vorthak on the station. Do they know you're here? No. My communication unit was damaged in battle. They believe Unit 7 was destroyed. Lisa took a deep breath. If I released you from these restraints, would you help us save those people? Unit 7 stared at her for a long moment. Help save humans? Yes. Why would I do this? Lisa moved closer to the table. Because you said you wanted to understand why I saved you. This is how you understand. By saving others. Unit 7 was quiet for several minutes. Lisa could almost see the struggle happening in his mind. His programming told him to kill humans, but something else, something new, was fighting against those orders. If I help you, he said finally, my brothers will know I am traitor. They will hunt me forever. I know, Lisa said softly. But those people in the shelters didn't choose to be in this war. They're just trying to live their lives. Like I was trying to live when you found me. Yes. Unit 7 tested his restraints one more time, but gently. If I agree to help, will you trust me? Will you release these bonds? Lisa's heart was pounding. Everything Jake and Captain Hayes had said about Vorthak was probably true. The moment she freed Unit 7, he could kill her and everyone else on the ship. But she looked into his eyes and made her choice. Yes, she said, reaching for the restraint controls. I trust you. The bonds released with a soft click. Unit 7 sat up slowly, moving his forearms for the first time in days. He was even more impressive sitting up, his massive form towering over Lisa even on the medical table. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Unit 7 stood up, his full 8-foot height making the medical bay seem small. Lisa took a step back, suddenly aware of how easily those claws could tear her apart. But Unit 7 just looked at his hands, flexing his fingers and testing his movements. You have done good work, he said. I am healed. Are you going to help us? Unit 7 was quiet for another long moment. When he spoke, his voice was different. Softer somehow. I do not know if I can fight my brothers, but I will try. Lisa called Captain Hayes to the medical bay. When the captain saw Unit 7 standing free, his hand went immediately to his weapon. Lisa, what have you done? He's going to help us, Lisa said quickly. He knows the station layout and Vorthak tactics. Without him, we have no chance. Captain Hayes looked at Unit 7 suspiciously. Is this true? You'll help us rescue those people? I will try, Unit 7 replied. But I must warn you, the other Vorthak will not show mercy. When they discover I am alive and helping humans, they will kill me slowly. It is the price for betraying the pack. Why are you willing to pay that price? Captain Hayes asked. Unit 7 looked at Lisa. She saved my life when she could have let me die. She trusted me when others told her I was monster. Now I must learn what it means to save life instead of taking it. The docking with Proxima Station went smoothly at first. Landing Bay 7 was damaged but still pressurized. The Titan's Edge connected successfully, and Captain Hayes prepared his rescue teams. Unit 7 had provided detailed information about the station's layout and the likely positions of the Vorthak warriors. According to him, there were probably 15 to 20 warriors still hunting through the lower levels. They will be spread out, he explained. hunting in pairs or alone. They do not expect resistance, so they will not be prepared for coordinated attack. Jake suited up with the other security officers, still not completely trusting their alien ally. "What about you?" he asked Unit 7. "What's your plan?" Unit 7 looked at his clawed hands. "I will do what I was made to do, but this time I will kill to protect instead of killing to destroy." The first rescue team had barely reached the shelter levels when the alarm started. A Vorthak warrior had discovered their presence and sent out a warning signal. Within minutes, every Vorthak on the station knew that humans had come to attempt a rescue. Worse, they had detected Unit 7's biological signature and knew that a traitor was among them. The hunt had begun, but this time, the Vorthak were not the only predators. On Proxima Station, the first attack came without warning. Jake was leading a team of 4 security officers through the dark corridors toward Shelter Level 3, when a Vorthak warrior dropped from the ceiling above them. The creature moved with deadly speed, its claws slashing through the air. One of Jake's men, a young officer named Tim Ross, didn't have time to raise his weapon before the Vorthak's claws tore across his chest. Jake fired his plasma rifle, but the shots barely scratched the creature's natural armor. The Vorthak spun toward him, its black eyes focused on the kill. Then Unit 7 appeared. He came through the corridor like a force of nature, moving faster than Jake thought possible. Unit 7 crashed into his fellow warrior with tremendous force, sending both of them smashing into the metal wall. What followed was the most brutal fight Jake had ever seen. The 2 Vorthak warriors tore at each other with claws and teeth, their armored bodies slamming against walls and floor with sounds like thunder. Sparks flew as claws scraped against metal. Dark blood splattered across the corridor. Unit 7 was bigger and stronger than his opponent, but the other warrior was fresh and unhurt. They seemed equally matched until Unit 7 did something that shocked everyone watching. Instead of fighting like a wild animal, he began using tactics. He feinted to the left, then struck from the right. He used the narrow corridor to limit his opponent's movement. He fought with intelligence and planning, not just instinct. The other Vorthak warrior seemed confused by this approach. It had been created to be a perfect killer, but it had never faced an opponent who could think and plan in the middle of combat. Unit 7 ended the fight by grabbing his opponent's head with all 4 arms and twisting sharply. The sound of breaking bone echoed through the corridor, and the enemy warrior went limp. Unit 7 stood over the body, breathing heavily. Dark blood ran from several deep cuts on his arms and chest. When he looked up at Jake and his team, there was something in his eyes that hadn't been there before. Pain. Not physical pain, but emotional pain. "I have killed my brother," he said quietly. Jake helped Tim Ross with his wounds while Unit 7 stood guard. "Are you all right?" Jake asked the big alien. "No," Unit 7 replied honestly. "I am not all right, but I will continue." The rescue operation became a running battle through the station's lower levels. More Vorthak warriors appeared, hunting in pairs now that they knew about the threat. Each time, Unit 7 fought them while the human rescue teams evacuated civilians from the shelters, but every kill was harder for him. Unit 7 had been created to fight alongside other Vorthak, not against them. Each warrior he destroyed was identical to himself, programmed with the same instincts and memories. It was like killing parts of himself over and over again. Lisa stayed with the medical team, treating wounded civilians as they were brought up from the shelters. She watched Unit 7 through the security cameras, seeing how each battle left him more damaged emotionally, even when he won physically. After the 4th fight, Unit 7 collapsed in the corridor, not from his wounds, but from the psychological weight of what he was doing. Lisa found him there, sitting against a wall with his head in his hands. "I cannot do this anymore," he told her. "Each one I kill, I feel their death in my mind. We are connected, all Vorthak. When one dies, the others feel it." Lisa knelt beside him. "I'm sorry. I didn't know." "You could not know. But now I understand why betraying the pack is the greatest crime. It is not just turning against your brothers, it is murdering pieces of your own soul." Lisa looked at this massive warrior who had become something his creators never intended. "We've rescued almost 2,000 people," she said. That's 2,000 lives saved because you chose to fight your programming. And 6 of my brothers, dead because I chose to be traitor. No, Lisa said firmly. 6 warriors stopped because you chose to protect innocent people. There's a difference. Unit 7 looked at her with those dark eyes. Is there? How do you know the difference between right and wrong when both choices cause pain? Before Lisa could answer, Carol's voice came through the communication system. All teams, we have a big problem. Long-range sensors are picking up a massive Vorthak ship approaching the station. It's not part of the original fleet. Captain Hayes' voice followed immediately. What kind of ship? Command vessel. The signature matches a Prime Alpha-class battleship. Unit 7's head snapped up at those words. For the first time since Lisa had known him, she saw real fear in his eyes. What is a Prime Alpha? She asked. Him. The commanders of Vorthak fleets. They are not like us. They are bigger, stronger, smarter. And they do not forgive betrayal. Unit 7 stood up slowly. If a Prime Alpha is coming here, it is because the fleet detected my betrayal. How? Long before it arrives? Lisa asked. Unit 7 closed his eyes, apparently accessing some kind of internal communication system. 1 hour, maybe less. Captain Hayes gathered all the rescue teams for an emergency meeting. They had evacuated about 2,000 survivors, but there were still 1,000 people trapped in the deeper shelters. The rescue operation was only 2/3 complete. We can't fight a Prime Alpha, Jake said bluntly. Our weapons won't even scratch something that big. Then we run, Captain Hayes replied. Load everyone we've saved onto the ship and get out of here. What about the people still trapped? Lisa asked. We save who we can and hope it's enough. Unit 7 had been listening quietly. Now he spoke up. There is another option. Everyone turned to look at him. The Prime Alpha is coming for me, he said. If I surrender myself, it might allow you to finish the evacuation. No, Lisa said immediately. You said they would kill you slowly for betraying them. Yes. But 1,000 human lives are worth 1 Vorthak traitor. Lisa felt anger rise in her chest. Your life has value too. You're not just a weapon anymore. You're a person who chose to do the right thing. Unit 7 looked at her with something that might have been gratitude. You see person where others see monster, but I know what I am. I am killer, who learned too late that killing is wrong. The debate was interrupted by another alarm. The Prime Alpha ship had arrived ahead of schedule and was already docking with the station. Through the security cameras, they could see a massive Vorthak warrior stepping onto the station. It was nearly 10 feet tall, with armor that looked like it was made of black metal. Its forearms ended in claws that gleamed like polished steel. The Harvester, Unit 7 whispered. I know this one. It commanded the fleet that destroyed my first target world. It has killed millions. The Harvester's voice boomed through the station's communication system, speaking in the Vorthak language. Unit 7 translated. It says the traitor called Unit 7 will present itself for judgment, or it will kill every human on this station one by one, starting with the smallest children. Lisa felt her blood run cold. It knows about the children in the shelters? Unit 7 nodded. Prime Alphas have advanced sensors. It can detect every life sign on the station. Captain Hayes looked at his diminished options. They couldn't fight the Harvester. They couldn't evacuate everyone in time. And they couldn't abandon 1,000 people to die. Unit 7 made the decision for them. I will face the Harvester, he said. But I will not surrender. I will fight, and when I fall, you must be ready to run with everyone you have saved. Unit 7, Lisa said, grabbing one of his massive arms. There has to be another way. He looked down at her, and for the first time she saw him smile. It was a strange expression on his alien features, but it was definitely a smile. You gave me the gift of choice, he said. Now I choose to die protecting others instead of living, to destroy them. Is this not what you call being human? The main cargo bay of Proxima Station had once been used for loading supplies. Now it would serve as an arena for a fight that would decide the fate of 1,000 innocent people. Unit 7 walked into the vast space alone. His wounds from the Earlier battles had been quickly treated by Lisa, but he was still hurt and tired. Dark blood stained his natural armor, and one of his 4 arms moved stiffly from a deep cut. The harvester waited in the center of the bay. Up close, it was even more terrifying than it had appeared on the security cameras. Its black armor seemed to absorb light, making it look like a shadow given form. Its claws were longer than Unit 7's, and strange glowing marks covered its body like battle scars. Unit 7. The harvester spoke in perfect English, its voice deep and cold. You have committed the ultimate crime. You have betrayed your own kind to help these weak humans. I have learned the difference between right and wrong, Unit 7 replied. Something our creators never intended. The harvester laughed, a sound like grinding metal. Right and wrong. These are human concepts. We are above such foolishness. We are perfect weapons. No, Unit 7 said firmly. We are slaves. Our creators made us to kill, but they never gave us the choice to be anything else. Until now. And what has this choice brought you? Pain, confusion, the agony of killing your own brothers. The harvester began to circle Unit 7 like a predator. I can feel your suffering through our connection. You are damaged, broken. I will end your pain. In the security room, Lisa watched the confrontation with growing fear. Captain Hayes stood beside her, ready to give the order to retreat if Unit 7 fell. The evacuation teams are still working on the lower levels, Carol reported. They need at least 30 more minutes. He just needs to hold out for 30 minutes, Lisa whispered, though she knew it was probably impossible. The fight began suddenly. The harvester moved with speed that seemed impossible for something so large. Its claws swept through the air where Unit 7 had been standing a split second before. But Unit 7 had learned more than just tactics in his earlier battles. He had learned to think beyond his programming. Instead of meeting the harvester's attack directly, he rolled aside and struck at his opponent's legs. The harvester stumbled but recovered quickly, spinning to rake its claws across Unit 7's back. This time, the attack connected. 4 deep cuts opened in Unit 7's armor and he staggered forward. You fight well for a traitor, the harvester said. But you cannot win. I am superior to you in every way. Unit 7 wiped dark blood from his mouth and stood straight. Maybe, but I am fighting for something you will never understand. What could be worth betraying your own species? Unit 7 thought of Lisa's face when she had chosen to save his life instead of letting him die. He thought of the families huddled in the shelters waiting for rescue. He thought of the choice between being a weapon and being a person. Hope, he said simply. The battle continued with brutal intensity. The harvester was bigger, stronger, and uninjured. But Unit 7 had something his opponent lacked, a reason to fight beyond simple programming. Every time the harvester knocked him down, Unit 7 got back up. Every time his opponent seemed ready to deliver a killing blow, Unit 7 found a new way to defend himself. But slowly, inevitably, he was losing. The harvester's claws found their mark again and again. Unit 7's movements became slower, his breathing more labored. Why do you keep fighting? The harvester demanded after landing a particularly devastating blow. You cannot win. Surrender now and I will make your death quick. Unit 7 looked up at the security camera where he knew Lisa was watching. Because someone believed I could be more than just a killer, and I will not let her down. In the security room, Lisa felt tears running down her face. She grabbed Captain Hayes by the arm. There has to be something we can do. Some way to help him. Our weapons can't hurt the harvester, Captain Hayes replied sadly. And even if we could fight it, Unit 7 wouldn't want us to risk the evacuation. Lisa stared at the screen, watching as Unit 7 continued to fight against impossible odds. Then an idea came to her. A desperate, crazy idea that might not work, but was the only chance they had. The station's main computer, she said suddenly. Can we access it from here? Carol looked at her strangely. Yes, but why? Unit 7 said that all Vorthak are connected somehow. If we could disrupt that connection, maybe we could confuse the harvester long enough for Unit 7 to win. Captain Hayes shook his head. We don't know anything about Vorthak biology or their communication systems. But Unit 7 does, Lisa said, and he's been connected to the ship's medical computers. Maybe some of that information got stored in our databases. It was a long shot, but it was all they had. Carol began frantically searching through the medical computer files while Lisa watched Unit 7 take another terrible beating. The Harvester had backed Unit 7 against a wall. 3 of Unit 7's arms hung useless at his sides, and he was barely staying on his feet. This is the end, the Harvester said, raising all 4 of its claws for a final strike. Any last words, traitor? Unit 7 looked directly at the camera again. His voice was weak but clear. Thank you, Lisa, for showing me what it means to be human. Just as the Harvester began its killing strike, Carol found what they were looking for. I've got it, she shouted. Vorthak communication frequencies. I'm sending a feedback pulse through the station's communication array. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The Harvester stopped mid-attack, its body going rigid as high-pitched sounds filled the cargo bay. The creature staggered backward, its hands clutching at its head. Unit 7, who had also been affected by the pulse, recovered first. He launched himself at the confused Harvester with the last of his strength. The 2 giants crashed to the floor together. Unit 7 managed to get his one working arm around the Harvester's throat while using his legs to pin down his opponent's lower arms. Impossible, the Harvester gasped. You are just a weapon. You cannot defeat a Prime Alpha. You are right, Unit 7 replied, tightening his grip. A weapon could not defeat you, but I am not a weapon anymore. I am Unit 7. I choose my own purpose. The Harvester tried to break free, but the feedback pulse had disrupted its coordination. Unit 7 held on with determination born not from programming, but from choice. When it was over, Unit 7 lay on the floor beside the Harvester's still body. He was badly injured and barely conscious, but he was alive. Lisa was the first to reach him, followed by a medical team. As they worked to stabilize his injuries, Unit 7 looked up at her with eyes that were growing dim. Did we save them? He asked weakly. The people in the shelters? All of them, Lisa replied, holding one of his massive hands. Every single person is safe because of what you did. Unit 7 smiled again, that strange expression that looked so human on his alien features. Then I have learned what I needed to learn. I am not monster. I am protector. Yes, Lisa said softly. You are. 3 months later, Unit 7 had recovered from his injuries and was living aboard the Titan's Edge as the first free Vorthak in history. His story had spread throughout human space, and scientists were working to understand how Lisa's act of mercy had broken through genetic programming that was supposed to be unbreakable. More importantly, other Vorthak warriors in distant parts of the galaxy had begun to experience the same awakening. The connection that linked all members of their species had carried Unit 7's transformation like a virus, showing others that they too could choose their own purpose. The galaxy was changing. One act of mercy had planted a seed that was growing into something beautiful and unprecedented. Weapons were learning to become protectors. Monsters were discovering they could choose to be heroes. And it had all started with one human doctor who refused to let a wounded creature die, no matter how dangerous it was supposed to be.